chamber meet and greet candidates tonight for our meeting. And so everybody can put a name to a face. There's a couple that have notified me that have turned in their little speech that they wanted to do, but I have printed that out, and I will just read that off for you for those two candidates. So basically, this is just going to be very simple. It's just a meet and greet. It's not a debate. And we'll start and go around, and I want you guys to introduce yourself, the candidates, and what you're running for. And we'll have punch and cookies. How's that sound?
Good.
Okay. We're going to start right here with.
Hi, my name is Sue Wagner, for those of you who don't know me, and I am running for school board. Should we give a little?
Yes, this
Okay,
is your time.
I'm running for school board, and I asked to go first because I also keep score and statistics at the girls' volleyball game, and tonight is their last home game. So I'm going to get up and leave as soon as I can. But I've been on the board, this is will be my third term, and I taught in Central Lake. A lot of you are familiar with me because of that, for 26 years. And I retired in 2004, and in 2006 I ran for the school board. And I have been a trustee, I have been treasurer, vice president, and now I'm president. And I would really appreciate your support. And I've really worked hard to make the board approachable and fiscally responsible, and yet doing what's best for kids. So before I leave, does anyone have any questions? Then very rudely, I'm going to get up and leave.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did somebody say, Sue, did somebody have a question?
Thank you, Sue.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for coming tonight.
And Central Lake needs to win tonight.
Yes,
All right.
definitely.
Okay.
And I think they will, so. But I'm
Okay.
going to go over and.
Okay. Thanks, Sue, for coming.
Following up Sue is
Volleyball.
not an easy task. I'm Melissa Zelenak. My job is I do our little newspaper here in town. Some of you may have seen it, the Central Lake News. I'm running for village council trustee. My education, I'm 2 classes away from finishing my bachelor's in psychology. I just got to finish the stats class, which has been a challenge to say the least. I'm a social media undergrad. I'm familiar with Facebook and social media platforms, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of those. I'm running because I like to see communication improve in the village, to and from, to the people and back from them. I have a statement in the paper. I'm not going to read it all because we'll chitter chat and talk here, but I'll pass it on to Mr. McElroy.
Okay, I'm Jerry McAvoy, and I'm running for school board. I've lived in the Central Lake community for about 40 years now, and both the community and the school district have been very good to me and to my family. And so after a year of retirement, I thought it's time to pay back some things, and hence the reason for I'm running for school board.
I'm Larry Eckert. I'm a local realtor. I have a real estate one office in Bel Air. I was village president 4 years ago for the previous 8.5 years to that point. And I think it appears to be at the time for me to try to do it again. So that's what I'm attempting to do at this stage. This guy on my left is a formidable foe, and that's okay.
Formidable, I'm not sure. Hey, Ken Cruzy, I'm Newbridge. I'm pretty sure we kind of all know each other, so. I've been on the council for 8 years, last 2 was president. And I guess I'm running, we've done a lot in the last 2 years, we really have. You know, Larry did a lot in his years, we've done a lot in ours, we've reinvested a lot of dollars back into the community, accomplished a lot of projects, good goals. Controversy along the way, always will be, but we kept going and moving forward and stayed focused, and I'm hoping we can do the same for the next 2 years. We have a lot of good things to still do to improve the village and move it forward, so.
My name is Rod Thayer. I've been a village resident for 54 years. I was on the planning commission for approximately 5. I was asked to run for trustee, so I did have a term. I had a 2-year term, which is about to expire. Running again. Supervisor for Anchor Lamon and Bel Air. Been there for 20 years. Had a home inspection business for about 10. And just I like everything we've done in the past 2 years. We've accomplished a lot, and I hope we can keep moving forward as we have and not get into a stalemate and keep accomplishing things for the village of Central Lake.
Brad?
Me, okay. Hi everyone, I'm Brad Glasgow. I'm running for Village Council Trustee. I moved back to Michigan, Central Lake. I graduated from Central Lake in 1991. Went on to University of Michigan and spent several years in the Detroit area. Moved back to Central Lake about 7 or 8 years ago. And I've gotten involved in the local political scene since. I was the editor of the Central Lake News, reporting largely on some of the political process. And I did a lot of research into the government doing that. And I've been pretty critical of our local government over the past couple of years. And they very rightly said, well, put up or shut up. And I'm putting up here. So I think I can do a good job as trustee. And I'm running on a campaign of limiting spending. I want to bring back cleanup day. And I want to bring back some respect and civility to our local government. Thank you.
I'm just gonna read off what I gave to the Antrim County Review, because they asked me a bunch of questions. How long have you been on the council? 1.5 years. Accomplishments, I retrofitted 32 streetscape lamps, 7 Cobra head at the campground, from traditional bulbs to high efficiency LED to save the village approximately $2,500 annually on their electric bill. Successfully urged Consumer Power to conduct an energy audit for the village light. It was determined that the village was overbilled by several lights. Collaborated on and obtained a DNR trust fund grant for $225,000. This grant is being used for the improvements at the campground, construction of a waterfront boardwalk. Helped oversee the removal of 2,000 feet of unsafe sidewalk in the village. Was part of the committee that led the improvements at Donaldson Park softball field, including the addition of new outfield home run fence. Created and ran the first annual Central Lake Ice Fishing Tournament. Member of the Village Chamber. Unfinished business, question 3. To see the completion of the campground boardwalk project, continue to remove residents from the outdated 2-inch water line for improved water service, and to pave the roads at the completion of the water line project. To write and obtain several more DNR trust fund grants, including improvements at the Donaldson tennis and basketball courts. Also to seek grant money to continue the boardwalk along Intermediate Lake and additional day docks. These day docks allow greater access to village residents to Intermediate Lake and continue to replace and improve the most deteriorated roads in the village. Question 4, what are your future goals for the village? To improve all services to village residents, to allow families greater access to Intermediate Lake, to encourage new businesses into the village and have existing business to have continued growth, to have better collaboration between the village, DDA, and the chamber. And everybody wants a copy, but I got it. A couple of them.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Denny Annis. Retired in June after 39.5 years of education. It took me about 2 weeks to figure out that I missed kids, missed the parents, needed to get back involved with the school, and one way to do that was to run for the board. I actually sat on our Board of Education about 30 years ago as a trustee, and then eventually was the vice president for the board, and resigned from the board to apply for a teaching position that I ended up getting there, and was at Central Lake for about 30 years. I think I mentioned to someone in the room, I used to have conversations with Chet Wadzinski of a philosophical nature that when he retired, one of the wishes that he had and that I had is that I could say our school is in at least as good a shape, if not better, than when I started there. And up until a few years ago when the funding went to pieces for everybody, that was true, and it's not anymore, and people need to step forward and do that. So that's the reason I'm running.
Suzanne Tishart, I don't know if I pronounced her name right or not, but she says, thank you for your interest in our village election. She says, as you probably realize, there's been some highly controversial decisions made by our current village trustees over the past couple of years. After following more closely, I've noticed a definite pattern of eliminating our village citizens and some community organizations. She's lived in the village for 35 years. She's been a village clerk for 8 years and a deputy clerk treasurer for a couple of years. And she says, I can bring a clear understanding of how the village clock ticks. And she said she would appreciate your vote on that. Greg Schooks is out of town, and he sent this in. He said, I'm a 4th-generation farmer and on their Centennial Farm. And he has a real interest on the Board of Education. Currently, he's the vice president. In the past, he served as a deacon at the Bell Tower Reformed Church. And he belongs to quite a few organizations around. And he said that I would be honored for your vote as a member of the Central Lake Public Schools Board of Education. So those were the 2 comments that we received. So they asked that if I would read those here tonight, because neither one of those could make it. So, anyways, so that's where we're at. We're keeping this short and simple. If anybody has questions, concerns, there's cookies and there's punch, and you can mingle around and you can ask the candidates questions. Feel free to do so. Yes, my dear.
Can I ask
You sure
Mr.
can.
Cruzy and Mr. Eckert
Mhm.
one question? If you were elected president, what do you feel would be the most important issue that you would want to work on first for Central Lake?
Continuing to reinvest your tax dollars back into the community in ways that affect the entire community in a positive way. We've done a lot of it. We've invested a lot of tax dollars back. I know Brad alluded to the fact he wants to limit the out-of-control spending. I honestly, to be honest, I don't know what that refers to. We've been very careful where we've spent money. We've projected fund balances out for 20 years to make sure they're covered. We have used no fund balances to fund the general operations of the village and never will. So what we truly have done is gained a good understanding of the finances of the village, the fund balances, future revenue for the next 20 years projected on today, and we've taken some money and invested back into your community. I mean, there's a long list of things we've done, noticeable things, you know. We, for a long time, we heard they needed a cleanup day in the village, and the object of a cleanup day was to clean up the village, better curb appeal to everybody. We've done that through the elimination of blight in the village at a cost to nobody. So, I mean, we've looked at the issues. People feel we ignored them. We didn't, and we'll continue to. We look at people's issues. The answer might not be exactly what they want, but we've achieved a lot of good goals. We've done it without increasing taxes, and we've protected all the finances in the village. We've spent a considerable amount of your tax dollars, I agree, but you paid those taxes for a lot of years, and we've now reinvested them back into your community to improve your community moving forward. And in the next 2 years, we have quite a few more projects we're looking at that they're attainable, they're feasible within our finances, they're good projects. So that would be my one goal, to keep doing what we've been doing and reinvesting your tax dollars back into your community.
Mr. Eckert?
I think the primary issue that I'm gonna concentrate on when I first step back into this is to somehow heal some of the controversy that seems to get into the papers. When I was there for 8.5 years, my goal was to try to stay out of the papers until something good happened. And you live by them and you die by them. And I just think it's best that if we do what we're supposed to do in the village, that ultimately the good will come through, and that's what will get reported on, as opposed to whatever bad might be happening as well. Beyond that, I'm with Ken as far as not raising any more taxes. In the 14.5 years that I served on the board, we did not raise taxes. There was approximately 12 mills in the village that funded everything, and we worked within that. And I, like all taxpayers, don't want to pay any more than is necessary. Ken has done a good job in that, and there's been a lot of improvements that have happened. And I would just work to do that.
questions? Everybody's so quiet.
I have a question too. Denny said something about teaching and then being on the board.
Mhm.
You can't do both at the
No,
same time?
no.
Okay, that's
When I was on the school board, probably was back in the early 80s that I ran, was elected, it's a conflict of interest.
Sure.
And so, I knew that we had two my degree was in social studies. We had two social studies teachers at the time, and Ernie Anger had retired, and we ended up hiring Jim Dewey. I signed his contract. And then about 2 weeks later, I don't know if you know Russ Guile, but Russ was our other social studies teacher, and he had planned to teach for more years, and I had planned to, just continue on the board, and he retired. And I told Larry Blamer at the time I was really interested in applying for that position, and before I could do that, I had to resign. So I resigned, applied for the position, and fortunate for me, I agree with Jerry, the school, I attended Central Lake School, it was my springboard. I am forever thankful for what they did for me, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to come back to the community, because I really feel that teaching is giving back also. And it was good for me, it was good for my kids, and I just don't feel I'm done at this point.
I have one question.
Yes.
From Melissa and Brad, as the prospective trustees, what's the one thing that you would do for residents, which you would put on the agenda and really push for if you were elected? Not a general statement, but something specific.
Well, I have 3 things on my list that I put in my little blurb.
Just one.
One would be, I really think it's the communication to and from. A couple of years ago, I started going to council meetings. Not very long after that, I bought the video camera and started recording meetings so that folks could see things that were going on at the meetings that, I think the public needed to see. So I would keep on using the village Facebook page, and I've definitely developed some social media policies so that who's posting what, when they're posting it. There's no surprise as to who is posting it or what they're posting. Eliminate risk to the village, there's many cases where somebody posts something that they could get themselves in trouble. So I think I would really just focus real hard on communication in all levels.
Cleanup day is probably the first thing I would push. I think that we've had money for it, it's just that the village council hasn't wanted to do it. So I think a lot of the people I've spoken with in the village, that's the one thing they want, the cleanup day. That's one of their services that normally people don't deal with their village government. Maybe permits or something, but most likely you don't deal with the village. So that's the one place where they actually get a service from the village for a lot of the people that they take advantage of, and when it was removed, they missed that, and so they told me they want cleanup day, and I think we can find it in the budget.
Wasn't there a brush pickup day scheduled? That's not cleanup day.
No.
Did it already happen?
No.
What's
First week in November.
First week in November.
I wonder if the current council members have any ideas, and I know you've talked about this before, to more people to attend the council meetings, because when I go, it's like 1 or 2 people, unless it's a controversial issue.
Well, I was just saying, the way you get more people to come is do more stuff that upsets them.
Well,
Thank you. Ask Larry that.
I know it's probably
That's a
no way to
fact.
do it, but any ideas that you can come up with to engage more people in the community? Because it's always the same cadre of people there, pretty much.
Well, I think the videos have definitely helped. I know a lot of people that are watching them when they get posted. Some of them we've had several hundred hits on within like 2 days of posting it. So I think that's helping a lot, being able to watch it online at your leisure, but getting people to come there. Cruzy's right, if somebody's mad, they show up. If not, then they don't come, so.
Other than you, Joe. You're not mad every time you come. I didn't mean it that way.
It's too bad you can't use technology for people to text questions in, but I don't think you're allowed to do that in government meetings.
Well, that goes to more of a public hearing. I mean, you know, if you really look at our meeting, and I don't mean to be, we don't want attendance at the meeting, but the whole purpose of the open meeting is for the public to come and attend and watch the council conduct their business. You know, and we open our meeting up quite a bit, you know, we let people respond and we have a conversation and we try our best to keep it simple. And that might be a mistake. Maybe that's where we make the mistake and we should limit it more to public comment, sit down and no interaction. But I love it in a small community that we can interact. And we've learned a lot in the last 2 to 4 years, we keep it more civil, we really do. But, I mean, that's the whole intent of that meeting, we get together, do our business in a public forum where the public can attend and watch the council conduct the business at hand.
I have a question for the school board, ones that are running for school board. I noticed that there's been a decrease in students that are going to other schools. Can someone answer that, why people are maybe pulling their students out of Central Lake? And what areas, do you guys have areas of concern on that?
You want me to start? I guess, you know, some of it historically has been transition, people moving for jobs, and I think in the last 5, 6 years, we really lost quite a few people from the community and from the school, moving different places to find work and taking their kids with them. I'm not sure why some moved to neighboring districts, and I'm not sure if, not being in part of the administration or anything, I'm not sure if we do exit interviews to find those type of things. It would be nice to know so that you could maybe, maybe you just, it's better for them and better, you know, so they're just gonna move, there's more opportunities, or there's different opportunities, but it would certainly be nice to know and look at those type of things. So I'm just not sure if we do exit interviews for people.
To me, and feedback is a positive thing, and that's what, you know, you need to get feedback.
And I think I would say the same thing, and from the perspective that I don't know if exit interviews are done. I know when I was counseling, that was back from 1990 to I think 2004. I would try to talk to students if they were leaving or for parents, you know, what's the reason? Sometimes it's a job move, sometimes it's, who knows? I mean, it can be for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's, you know, one school can be a better fit than another. But it seems like we ought to be doing, if we're not, we ought to be doing the exit interviews to find out. I know part of it is, and we have had a number of classes, in my experience in the last few years, where you graduate 35 and you have 20 coming in as kindergartners. And that accounts for losing 15 students just because of those numbers. So I know that happens. I also know though, that I think the highest number that we had K-12 during my tenure there was 540 students. And I think our count this year, a couple weeks ago, was 298. And that's dramatically different. You know, I mean, we're really approaching half of what we've had in my 30 years here. And I think our staff is half what it used to be. I see the trend from state funding to only be about the same, which has been the trend, I think, for all of our governmental organizations. I know that when the original Proposition B was passed, there was more than enough money to fund the schools. I think that has been tweaked around 30 times, and every time it was tweaked, it took money away. And that's distressing for me. Because Susie and I were talking about this a little earlier, we grew up in the 60s going through middle and high school, and we saw things like, we had a physics class that was taught every other year, and we combined 2 classes, and we brought kids from Ellsworth to fill the class. And it seems like we're fast approaching the 60s again. And that's sad. That's truly sad. And I don't know if locally we can do anything about that. But I think that's important. And I don't know why. I think a lot of folks have left. Economically, we've lost a lot.
Because we used to share, and with Ellsworth, like you said, we
Yeah.
would go there and they would come here and you know,
Yeah.
it was kind of a
But I
consolidation.
think that the board's gonna have to contend with what classes are we gonna double up on? And if there are more cuts in those kinds of things. I would hate to see that,
Yeah.
but that's gonna be a struggle.
Could I speak to that issue?
Yes.
Sure, good, Ryan. I think that goes with the village. It's all about jobs in the area. We used to have Texas Instruments, Second Chance, Destaco, and now we have just Armor Express, really. One of the things I'm looking into doing, and I'd like to do, is offer incentives to businesses to create jobs. I'm not sure how much money we would have to do it, but I think we spent $90,000 on the park. I think that money would have been much better spent if we had used it to incentivize businesses to come to Central Lake and create jobs, or create jobs for the businesses that are here. And that would do more good than anything else we could do.
I'd like to speak to that, because actually, every study out there will tell you that to invest in your community, improve your parks and your school system, draws businesses and people into your town. So to say that to invest what truly is, I'll get the numbers a little wrong, 56,000 and some dollars out of fund balance money in the general fund, which you can very well absorb, because Larry did a great job over the years balancing the budget and watching it. And to put some DPW to work with that, to gain a $250,000 grant to improve our park, which everybody in this room and everybody in this community will say is a big draw to the village of Central Lake. We have a beautiful park on the water, and to enhance that park, to draw people who ever look at the park, is a huge draw to people and businesses into our town. So, my personal opinion, that was a great investment of your tax dollars to try to improve the village and draw people into town.
When is that gonna take place?
That, it is our hope that over the winter, we work with the engineers and get it all finalized so it can start in the spring. There was a little setback because of the dispute on the property at the north end of the lake, which we all know about. So that's being worked out, should happen pretty soon. And by spring, we should be ready to go, which honestly, according to engineers, is probably an advantage to us, because we're hoping prices come down, because people are looking for work, because prices went very high at the end of the season, so financially it may work out better. But, quick answer, springtime.
Do we have any, do any marketing for Central Lake whatsoever? There's never any marketing?
No, and once again, that, it's, everything, in my opinion, should combine to make marketing. You have festivals in town, the car show, and things like that. You're bringing people to town. You're bringing people outside of town to town. And you're right, that's when we should market our town. There should be a strategy. How do we sell our town to out-of-town people that show an interest and come back? It truly is a marketing strategy. And events and everything else like the chamber does helps. It brings people in. But then we as a village, and the chamber, and the DDA, and everybody involved, you've talked about your meetings. Well, what do we brand the village as? A market, a logo. I agree. We need
And the
more
same thing
emphasis on
with
marketing the village.
Market for jobs to come here, businesses to come here, open up. You
Do
know,
they
I
get an
mean,
incentive, I'm sorry, but do
That's
they
okay.
get an incentive on their taxes? If, Larry, maybe you could answer that. Would they get, like if a company wants to come in, would they get an incentive on their taxes, or?
Depends on what's negotiated with them as they're coming.
Okay.
The problem you run into is that every other village and city in the state of Michigan and throughout the country are all on the same boat. So everybody's trying to get that business to come in. So can we afford to attract a 400-person factory into the community? Probably not. Our transportation costs are outrageous compared to some other area, specifically downstate. And that's what happens with Northwest Michigan. You need a Richard Davis to come in who had memories from this place, had a connection to this place. He had an idea and brought it here, and it's still going. It's changed its name, but it's still going. And I think that's really the only way you're gonna attract somebody is you could search the alumni who went to school here to see what they're doing. And if somebody's in a position to where that might happen, you might have a chance. But you're competing with far larger communities that have a lot more resources than what this village has to try to do that. And I think the best thing that could happen is the businesses that we have here is to just keep busting your butt to make a go of it. And ultimately, that's gotta pay dividends in the long run. If we pick up a business, a factory, so be it. But a lot of people like Central Lake just the way it is. We don't need to make changes. And you fight that mentality going through this village. Nothing wrong with it. It's a great place to live. And
Well, isn't tourism probably our biggest business here?
Northwestern Michigan's biggest business.
I mean, if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't have to paint the streets in the middle of the summer.
That was part of the big push for that grant project, was the tourism to make it
Sure.
easier access for them also.
They
That
spend
worked
their
well
money
for
on the
us.
businesses down the street
Yep.
and buy groceries and.
Ken, a couple years ago, we gave tax incentives to Harbor Express. Remember when we came and asked for them, and they were granted? Do you feel that paid off?
I wouldn't even wanna comment, I really,
Well, that's what
I-
I wonder.
it's like Larry said, there's so many
Taxes.
variables in it. That was through the town, I think it was a community development block grant. To me, that's hard to track. I really wouldn't even wanna comment on that.
That would be my
Is that-
concern about giving taxes incentives to businesses. How do you track that the money you're losing is providing what they say it's providing? They said they were gonna bring on a certain number of new jobs
Correct.
with that tax incentive, otherwise they would sort of threaten to leave. And I just wonder if that, like you say, it wasn't tracked, so you don't know, but
I
we
know
lost
they-
taxes without,
Right.
knowing
They
if it
fulfilled-
paid off.
They fulfilled their grant, I know that, but, you know,
Yeah.
and I think there was some competition from Mansalona and that, and it's like Larry said, so they start competing. And I agree with Larry 100%. Most of the people that came here over the years, if you look back, like when Texas Instruments came, it was through Tecumseh Products. Eric had a great attachment to Central Lake. He loved this area. You know, the YCAP gets funded because the guy there loved the area. So I just think our dollars are more spent to keep improving what people like. It's like Larry said, a lot of people like our small community. They don't want to see it be a big industrial area. So you're always, and I can understand that. They love coming here, they love the relaxed atmosphere. Torch Lake Township has fought it for years, industry out there, and the residents of Torch Lake Township say, no, we like it the way it is, and we'll deal with it. So that battle, I think, is gonna go on forever and ever, and hopefully we always find a happy medium. Right now, we're probably at the lull of tourism and industry and everything. The whole state's been hit, you know, retirement used to be big up here. When Detroit gets hit, we get hit real hard, because we don't have that retirement money anymore. But honestly, I think, all the way through, I think we've done a great job in Central Lake. Keep moving forward and staying positive.
Rod, I have a question for you. You mentioned you've been here in the community for 54 years. What areas of improvement do you think could be done here to get people here?
I think we keep, as Larry and Ken both touched on, is we keep moving forward with what we're doing, like the project on the water. Our water is our major resource for the Village of Central. And if you go around Intermediate, which I do all the time on my boat, and you're out there, we're all on the water, that's all money that's not here. And we see it now, and we're gonna see it 2 months from now, it's even gonna get worse. So for these businesses to thrive, we need that money from down there, so we've gotta give them a little community they like. And just like this lake with the boardwalk and the docks, I mean, we're gonna go from 4 slips to 18 slips. And that's more people, nobody wants to get off the water, get in their car, change out their clothes, run to town. They're gonna get in their boat, they wanna be in their boat, that's why they're here for 3 days, they get here late on Friday, leave late on Sunday. They're gonna get in their boats, they're gonna run town, they're gonna buy their groceries, they're gonna go to the restaurants or whatever. They have more access now with, and my personal opinion is we keep thriving on using our major resource. That's the Central Lake's major resource is the water. We don't have golf courses, we don't have theaters, we don't have that stuff to offer. And I had a great comment mentioned to me, you know, they said, what we love about Central Lake, we still don't have a blinking light in it. And I thought that was a really neat comment.
Have a blinking
Out of somebody that moved here from Indiana to make that, and they say, we hope they never have a blinking light. And I thought that was kind of neat, and that's what's neat about, you know, it's like, we're all older now. And one of my favorite shows is Andy Griffith, you know, Mayberry RFD. And that's kind of the way we are. We go to Brian's, get a haircut, you know, go to the grocery store and chit chat with people you know. And it's just kind of, just to keep the community thriving like it is and keep it, and to excel at what we're doing is to use our resource, and that's what we have.
Does anybody else have any?
Yeah, I got a question for Larry, if you don't mind. Larry, in the interim review, you stated that you would like to ensure money was spent legally within the budget. Could you elaborate on that for me?
Villages and cities have charters that they have to live by, and basically making sure that the funds that we receive are spent according to the laws that we have to work with. So it's not an accusation.
Oh, thank you, that's worked for me, thank you. And then one for Brad. Brad, you commented that you would like to see sidewalks brought back. How would you determine the area that is most valuable for the sidewalks?
I would start from the school as the center of the town and branch out from there. The school also look towards the, down towards the park would be a high value area. I believe those sidewalks are all in place. So I would start from the school, work my way out.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Are we all set? Everybody get your questions answered? If you want to mingle and get somebody off to the side, feel free to do that.
Cookie time.
And cookie and touch time, yes, yes.
Real cookie monster.